How y'all doing? I have myself this guy here. This is a new SixLeaf knife. I did an unboxing for it a little while back and decided that I would go ahead and do a full review of this thing sooner rather than later because I got some things to say about it. So, here we are. We got some thumb studs. You can see this is a button lock here. We got thumb studs on both sides. We have their standard bead blast finish here. We got their SixLeaf logo. Of course, it's a rattlesnake because they haven't had any other designers come on board. There we go. There's the model number, and it's in D2 steel. The micarta on this is actually pretty interesting. To me, it feels like weathered softwood, something like pine or something like that. Something that you would have, I don't know, made like a deck or a fence out of, and then let it sit for years between, sprinklers on it and heat baking it and stuff like that. So it has an interesting texture to it. Obviously, you're not going to get any splinters from it, but it does feel a bit coarse like that. And that is the finish that they've done on that. It is kind of gloss on the inside, and we'll see that at some point here. So that's not bad. It is really, really thick for what it is. As far as the thickness on this, we got 0.63 of an inch, or 16 millimeters. For a knife that's, it really doesn't feel like it needs to be anywhere near that thick. Like I said, I do like the materials on it, but yeah, it's really, really thick. Let's see, the pocket clip on it's just a little bit different than some of their others there, where it has the two different cutouts rather than a slot for the pocket clip that they've done on some of the others. Functionally, it's the same. So yeah, nothing really too terrible on that. Something that is a little bit annoying is we have these two screws here. If you do want to take this thing apart, though, you have a screw behind that for that little Chicago screw sort of thing there. That just adds something extra to the disassembly process. It probably didn't really need to be there. They could have changed that up probably just a little bit, but I mean, that's mostly a nitpick sort of thing. Also, as more cheap knives that use micarta scales, this has a G10 backspacer on it, rather than a matching micarta backscale or backspacer, which I tend to like just because it matches the whole aesthetic. But yeah, there's very few companies that actually do that. G10's just a lot easier to end up manufacturing and fitting all that sort of stuff without having to worry about errant voids or anything like that when you're milling this stuff, because micarta is just a little bit more difficult to work with because it's much more fibrous and flexible in its fibers than the fiberglass is there. So all right, yeah, so we got a 3.24 inch blade on this guy. That is 82.2 millimeters for those of y'all who were metrically inclined. Let's see, I can go ahead and bring in some knives here for context. That is the Benchmade 940. There we are. I was looking for the bug out to go along with that. So it's kind of right, I guess, right in between those two. Very much thicker than the bug out, that is for sure. Let's see. And also, sure, got a little Spyderco here. That's PM2. And it's quite a bit smaller than that, so I probably won't bother to bring out the Endura. It's just nowhere near large enough to warrant that. But here we are with the K-bar Dozier. And sure, the Kalashnikov 74. There you go. So as far as the EDC size for it, it's not too bad. I mean, the proportions are fairly decent for it. I mean, I did mention that it's quite thick earlier, so you know, you definitely have to keep that in mind. And also, the liners on these are quite a bit thicker than a lot of other knives too, and that does add a little bit to the heft. And the heft isn't bad. It's 3.86 ounces or 109.5 grams. So not terrible. It's under 4 ounces, which is you know, certainly better than a lot of other kind of budget liner locks end up being, especially with a little thicker blade stock on this guy. This one kind of meets you a little bit in the middle. It's 3.6 millimeters, so it's not that 3.8 or 4 millimeter like super thick boy. But I really don't think it even needed to be anywhere near this thick either. And just a lot of that ends up adding to the thickness to it. But the thumb studs, yeah, they're fairly similar. Very similar to... man, I just had it. There we go. To that of like the Benchmade here. Obviously not quite the same. They stick out a little bit more. They obviously have to with how thick this is anyway. But very similar in that same kind of feel. The action on it's pretty decent. It has that same kind of feel where if you do overextend that button a little bit, you end up having a little bit more friction on it. That's kind of the same as Kaiser's I've felt. I think with the exclusion of the big letter XL, but I think that just has so much blade on it that it kind of overcomes it. But all the other button lock ones from them that I've played around with exhibit that same kind of thing where, yeah, nice, free floaty, but if you push down a little bit too far on it, then, yeah, it still moves, but you end up having that friction on it. And that'll happen with, let's see, since I have a whole bunch of them here. Let's see. With the chili pepper and the hiccup and the Kaiser Cormorant, yeah, all those guys kind of exhibit the same thing. So there you go. What they don't do, and this does, and I am going to end up grabbing me something here. And that is cutting board. This button lock easily disengages. I don't have my thumb anywhere near it, and yeah, it just wiggles closed. For that reason alone, I'm going to say, don't buy this damn thing here. I'm healing up a little bit from it, but yeah, I was just playing around with it after I'd gotten it all nice and sharpened up and everything like that. And yeah, just playing around, putting a little bit of pressure down there, and yeah, it came down on me. Yeah, it basically comes down to the rounding off that you can kind of see up here on that button lock there. That just doesn't engage enough because we have the chamfered edge of the blade there. And yeah, it's just not safe. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily dangerous if you keep that sort of thing in mind. Like if you handle this like you would a slip joint, it's not going to be that dangerous. But as you can see with me, if I assume this thing has a lock, I'm assuming that lock's going to work. And if it doesn't, why the hell did I get this instead of a slip joint? You know what I mean? So, yeah, for that reason, yeah, I really can't suggest that people go and run out and pick this up. Which is unfortunate. I really do like this micarta and hope that they do a little bit more work with it soon. I do have another SixLeaf coming. That's a titanium frame lock with, I do believe, the same kind of micarta as some inlays on there. So that one should be interesting. I have seen it listed on Amazon for nearly $100, and that is, I think, probably far too much for it in general. I did win an eBay auction for it that somebody had it listed for, I think it was like $55 or something like that. That's much more reasonable, as far as I'm concerned, at least. And of course, that also has D2, just like this does. But yeah, it's, I mean, it's not a bad thought and everything like that. But yeah, it has some flaws that just aren't going to make you happy, or at least they definitely didn't make me happy. At least they do use T8 hardware all the way around here. I'm not going to fully disassemble this. If you've seen the inside of a button lock, especially Kaiser's, these are designed exactly the same here. That's going to spin, of course. Okay. Nope. Have it from the other side. Okay. Fine then. Shall pull out my little Gorilla Grip thing here so I can hold on to that. There we go. And yeah, essentially I'm just trying to pull this scale off here. Okay, whatever. I'll just do everything from this side. There we go. But yeah, you can see from the underside that this micarta, as it starts out, and it does definitely lose that top chatoyance kind of look to it after they've done the milling on it. That's what happens with micarta. No problems with that. But yeah, it's a nice two-tone kind of look to it. Kind of burlappy in style. It is a little rough around the edges, but I do kind of assume that's just pretty much the nature of this particular stuff. I did try and clean that up a little bit, but I ended up mostly doing it with a knife edge rather than like sandpaper or something like that. That might help out a little bit, but you don't want to round them off a little bit too much, otherwise you create some gaps all up in there. But yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of skeletonization going on there. Like I said, this is under a 4-ounce knife, so not super crazy. But yeah, this whole button setup is just flawed implementation all the way around. And yeah, definitely because of that, I can't really suggest anybody get this thing. But hey, at least I've spent the money on it. So y'all can probably go ahead and skip that one and sleep easier at night. Not that this thing was very expensive. I think it was in the neighborhood of $45 or something like that. Which, hey, I mean, for the materials and everything, it was great, but the implementation really doesn't help with that. So, yeah. We also do have a little lanyard hole in the top here. I think it does look just a little funky. I kind of would have appreciated in the in this backspacer here if they ground out a little groove and had a little lashing point or something like that, just to hide that and clean up the aesthetics just a little bit, make it look a little bit more like a fixed blade kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what we got going on here. This is so as you can definitely see from all of my thoughts and probably my tone and everything like that, that this is not my favorite SixLeaf knife. And this does kind of remind me of, it is a little bit more egregious, but does remind me of the fact that Rattlesnake, yeah, the designer, has a spotty track record for designs. A lot of them that he did with Tucson, I'm not really fond of, including the Integral, mostly because it's so open back that it's borderline dangerous to hold it while it's closed. You have to absolutely be familiar with that particular knife to be safe with it, rather than, most other knives where, well, you can basically assume a certain amount of safety with them. So, yeah, it's not unheard of, but still, having a lock that doesn't actually work, not super great. But, alright, yeah, I've rambled on a little bit long on this thing here, but that's the SL-18. I will give you a little bit more updates and things like that with the other one that I do believe uses the same micarta. It's probably still another week or two out from being delivered to me. So it'll take a little while, but it'll be on one of those unboxing videos that I end up doing with first impressions and stuff like that. So alrighty. In the meantime, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.